Hi everyone, I just thought I'd quickly jump on and talk about my experience so far with being pregnant and carnivore. Now, I was carnivore for about a year and a half before I fell pregnant, and then from about 6 weeks to 12 weeks, 13 weeks, I was hit by intense nausea and vomiting. Now, I've had that with my previous 2 sons, so I wasn't surprised. I was hoping I wasn't going to get it this time, but I did. I didn't take any medications. I've tried all the natural remedies, and essentially nothing works. I tried to eat small meals as often as I could, tried to keep protein in there to help regulate my blood sugars, but yeah, sometimes I was just eating whatever I could stomach, so it was everything from meat to Coke. But now I'm 22 weeks, feeling a lot better. So after that first trimester, I started getting back into my meat-based diet. If I compare this pregnancy so far compared to my other 2, I would have to say that, except for the nausea and vomiting, that was the same. But I experienced bleeding gums with my first 2, and the only time I've experienced that this time is when I eat high carbs, highly processed foods. As soon as I have anything like that, my gum starts to bleed. But as soon as I get back to eating real food, so eggs, meat, butter, milk, yogurt, stuff like that, even having some plants like fruit, that's okay. I don't get my gums bleeding, so that's one thing. Another thing is, once I got back into my meat-based eating, my weight loss has stopped. I was piling on weight really fast during that time when I was eating carbs, a lot of carbs, not enough protein, probably not enough fat either. But I mean, that happens every time you eat a lot of carbs, especially processed carbs. You get that insulin response, which basically, insulin is a fat storing hormone, and plus you have all these other hormones in your body when you're pregnant. Of course, you want to gain some weight when you're pregnant, but it was going really fast, too fast. And so now I'm back to eating my more balanced and meat-based diet, and so it has slowly kind of stabilized. So I'm excited about that. Third thing that's different, I feel really light in my body. I don't have any pain. I don't have a lot of fluid retention, whereas with my other 2, especially my first one, I had a lot of fluid retention early on, aches and pains and stuff like that. And now if I cheat or if I eat something that is outside of my meat-based diet, so usually if it's something that's processed or just really high in sugar, then instantly I will get aches and pains, and it's usually around my hips. And even before my pregnancy, I would notice this if I kind of went off trail. So that's something I've noticed as well. And like I said, I don't get as much fluid retention. My face isn't as puffy, like my eyelids aren't as puffy either. With my first son, I was really swollen, especially towards the ends, like my 3rd trimester, my legs, my feet. They had issues administering the epidural because the doctor couldn't find the right spot to get in because I just had so much fluid retention. My feet were purple, like in labor. It was really uncomfortable. And with my second, I had less. I guess I was more active and I was eating a little bit better. Like, I was still eating healthy with my first, but it was definitely more carbs in there. And then now, I mean, I'm only in my 2nd trimester, so I can't say what's going to happen in the future. But so far, there's less swelling, there's less pain. So number 4, I feel really energized. I've often heard, they say 2nd trimester, your energy comes back, and I never really felt any difference with my first and my 2nd pregnancy. But now I'm feeling really energized. I mean, we've been sick, but when everyone's happy and healthy and I'm eating my meat-based diets, I feel energized. I feel like I have energy to do what I want to do. I feel strong. I sleep well, things like that. So that's been another thing as well, which is a bonus, because when you have kids already, you're working and you have housework to do. I mean, my first pregnancy, I could take a nap whenever I wanted to, I could sleep however much I wanted to. Now it's a different story, so I really appreciate having that energy to do things that I have to do. Okay, so number 5, breastfeeding. So with my second pregnancy, I was still breastfeeding my first son, and around 12 weeks my milk dried up. Now this can be very individual, it depends on, you know, the child's age, how often they're feeding, things like that. But this time around, obviously I was still feeding Taj, and Noah would feed every now and then as well, not much, but I would feed Taj, and my milk started drying up and changed around 17 weeks. Now I still had milk, and so around 17 weeks it was actually switching to colostrum. So at 20 weeks I was expressing colostrum. Now Taj takes a dummy, no one ever took a dummy. So when that change was happening and my milk was drying up or becoming, you know, less, then he started going more for the dummy, and he would still cuddle me and he would like hold on to my boobs and stuff like that for cuddles and comfort. But he was quite happy to just have his dummy, and he's also a very, very good eater. And you know, he drinks stuff like raw milk as well, and he's eating a lot of meat and fat, so he's quite content. I never said no to breastfeeding him, and I did get aversions, both with my first and second pregnancy, which is very common, but I still was producing milk up until almost 20 weeks. And then, yeah, so around 17-20 weeks, he was weaning himself. And I've been trying to get him to go back on boob, but he's happy with his dummy, and if he's happy, I'm happy. It is ideal to breastfeed until 2 years old, but I mean, if they self-wean for whatever reason, there's not much you can do. I might try again when my milk comes back in with the baby, if he wants to. Otherwise, you know, I might express some, I'm not sure. I've always had a really good supply, a lot of, like a strong supply with a lot of milk. I had an oversupply with my first as well. Second one I didn't, because I had Noah that was feeding as well, so I never had that issue. But if I do get an oversupply or anything like that, I can just save that milk and I can add it into the kids' smoothies, ice cream, diet, whatever. Or they can just drink it straight up if they want to. Cravings, no, I don't feel like I've had any like really strong cravings. I think in the first trimester when you're feeling some nauseous, that's a little bit different, but now once that's passed, I'm not really having any strong like unhealthy cravings or anything like that. I'm happy to just eat my meat-based diet. If I am craving something, it's actually meat, specific meats. I am enjoying just a lot of plain meat as well. I don't need a lot of spices. If I do, it kind of makes me feel a bit nauseous. So with my first and second, I felt like I had a lot more cravings, and eating all this, you know, not junk food, but just more processed foods, maybe man-made foods, that's not very natural and that are less beneficial. So more control over cravings, definitely, right now. That might change. I'll do an update later on. I have been eating mainly meat-based, like I've said. When I've had, you know, felt like I need something else, like plants, I will eat them because I listen to my body and I trust my body. It's been, you know, fruits or refreshing things like cucumber, which is a fruit. One time I was really craving buttered greens, so I ate them, and then the next day I didn't want to look at them, so that was just a one-off thing. Baby size at this stage is still measuring ahead, just like my first two. My first baby was 3.5 kilos and 51 centimeters long. Second baby was 4.3 kilos, so about 9 elps, and 57 centimeters long. And this one, I don't know, but he is measuring a little bit ahead, so we'll see how that goes. yes, my second pregnancy, I took prescription medication for nausea and vomiting, and they made me very constipated to the point where one time I was sitting on the toilet, nothing would come out. I was sitting there for almost an hour in excruciating pain, thinking, oh my god, how am I even going to give birth? Like, this is hard enough, thinking I would pass out. So this time around, when the nausea came and the vomiting, I was like, I am not touching those medications. No, no, no. And back then I was also eating a lot of fiber and veg. Okay, so this time around, in my first trimester, yes, a bit of bloating, a little bit of constipation, maybe, but nowhere as near as bad as the first and second pregnancy. And now, moving on to my more meat-based diet in my second trimester, so from around 12 weeks, I don't suffer constipation, there's no pain. I go whenever I have to, usually every day. Still have coffee, that's a little bit of a laxative, has a bit of a laxative effect, but I don't overdo coffee. And so, yeah, no issues there so far. So that was kind of another big difference. And I know a lot of women suffer from constipation when they are pregnant, and they get prescribed, fiber supplement and things like that, told to increase their fruits and vegetables and their water, things like that. But I would say eat more fat, eat foods that are easy to digest. Pasteurized eggs is a great one. Slow cooked meats, bone broth, again fat like butter, or if you like fatty meat like 80-20 mince, or just fatty cuts of meat will do you wonders. If you want to have some plants, avocados got fat in there. But yeah, so that's been another thing as well. Oh, another thing. My skin, I mean, it's a little bit dark, but I would break out, especially the first time around, would break out a lot, and the second time, especially my first trimester, with kind of like little pimples on my face. And this time around, I don't think I've had a single pimple, a single breakout at all. So that's a difference. My skin overall is quite healthy. Yeah, that's something as well. That's different from my conventional healthy balanced diet compared to a more carnivore or meat-based diet. Now, I haven't tested my iron levels yet. I mean, I tested them in my first trimester, around 6 or 8 weeks, and my bloods overall is the best that they've ever been, especially my iron and my stored iron, so your ferritin. Really, really good levels, high levels. I think it was in the 70s or something like that, or maybe even 80s. Optimal is around 50 to 70. Those are the numbers in Australia. So ferritin is your stored iron. So you want to have a really good build-up of your stored iron, because you will be needing that throughout your pregnancy. With my other two, when I started off, I still had enough iron stored, but as the pregnancy progressed and you check your iron levels again in week 28, I believe, they were quite low. I wasn't anemic, I was definitely iron deficient. So that's something else that's different. So, like I said, I am 22 weeks now. I haven't tested or retested my iron levels yet, but I will. And I am hoping that they are going to stay strong. Of course, they will decline. I am building a baby. That's just my son coughing in the background. But I am hoping that they're going to stay nice and kind of within a normal range throughout this whole pregnancy. I am eating red meat, animal products, like egg, beef, things like that every single day. Just now for breakfast I had pork. Last night I had pork, and yesterday morning I had lamb. So I am eating a very rich iron-rich diet. And with my first pregnancy, when my iron was starting to get low, not too low, but borderline anemic, I was told to eat Milo and spinach. And she said that iron supplements, whatever you're taking, because I was taking that at the moment, oh, it's so little, like it's you know, it doesn't make a difference, blah blah blah. But she was recommending Milo and spinach, and I was like, yeah, I think I'm gonna stick to meat. And so second time around, I didn't do any supplements at all. My iron still dipped, and again, I didn't get anemic. I didn't bleed much at all with my first or second son, about 100 mils during birth, which is really you know, little. And then this time around, I'm not taking any iron supplements or any pregnancy vitamins or stuff like that. The only thing I take is desiccated organs and eating my meat-rich diet. So in about a month or so, I will be doing my bloods again, and so I'm very excited to see where my iron levels are at, because it's this idea that everyone just naturally becomes iron deficient as soon as you become pregnant. And of course, we are giving iron, we're giving part of our body and our, you know, cells and nutrient stores, minerals, vitamins, everything to the baby, to build the baby. So our requirement goes up. And if you're not eating enough, then yes, you will become deficient. And it's really important to choose foods that are easy to digest and easy to for our body to break down and access the nutrition. And where iron especially and protein is found, which is what the baby needs, plus 1,000 other things, comes from animal protein. It doesn't come from Milo, okay? That's fortified. It doesn't come from spinach. We can't access, while spinach is high in a particular iron, we can't actually utilize that. We can't break it down and use it as some animals can. So you need animal protein. And a lot of vegans and vegetarians, but most of vegans actually stop being vegan when they are pregnant, and they start eating some eggs and stuff like that, because you really do need that quality nutrition. And if you have to supplement your diet, that means that your diet is incomplete, okay? It's not healthy. If you have to supplement with something that is synthetic and man-made, made in a lab, then something is wrong with your diet. It's incomplete and it's not natural. So eat the meat. Okay, so that's it for now. I'll make another update later on in my pregnancy, in my third trimester, to let you guys know how things are going, what differences I've been experiencing later on, and compared to my first and second pregnancy, sorry. And later on, after that, I will do the labor and the birth as well. So thank you for listening, and I'll see you soon.